The year is 1997. The hip-hop scene is in shock. Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. are dead. Death Row Records is crumbling, and Suge Knight is headed to prison. No one knows which direction the rap industry is moving anymore. A year earlier, Dr. Dre left Death Row to found Aftermath Entertainment. The move was a massive gamble. He walked away from the security of the era's most powerful label and had to start from scratch. To succeed, he needed a new sound and a new star. Soon, two men whom the industry didn't consider safe bets would enter his studio, a Detroit rapper named Eminem and a New York rapper who had survived 9 bullets, 50 Cent. This is the story of how Dre, Eminem, and 50 Cent shifted the balance of power in hip-hop. The first Aftermath release. Dr. Dre presents The Aftermath, 1996. Underperformed commercially. Its lead single, Been There Done That, marked a shift away from gangsta rap toward a more reflective tone. The audience rejected it. For the first time in his career, Dre was operating without the death row infrastructure. No Suge Knight enforcement, no guaranteed radio push, no cultural momentum from Snoop Dogg. Between 1996 and 1998, Aftermath was not viewed as a dominant label. Internally, there were doubts. Externally, critics questioned whether Dre's earlier success had depended more on the artists around him than on his production. The turning point came in 1997 when a demo from the Rap Olympics reached Jimmy Iovine at Interscope. The artist was Marshall Mathers. Signing Eminem was controversial. Major label executives were cautious about investing heavily in a white rapper within mainstream hip-hop. Dre disagreed and signed him to Aftermath in 1998. In February 1999, the Slim Shady LP was released. The album debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, went multi-platinum, and won a Grammy Award for Best Rap Album. Eminem didn't just sell records, he sparked moral panics and political protests. That exact level of controversy launched Aftermath into the stratosphere. Financially, it stabilized Aftermath. Reputationally, it restored Dre's status at the top of the industry. In November 1999, Dre released 2001. To prove he hadn't lost his West Coast roots, he reunited with Snoop Dogg for massive anthems like Still DRE and The Next Episode. The reunion bridged his death row past with his Aftermath future. The album was a massive commercial success and further cemented the label as a dominant force. By the end of 1999, Dre had proven something critical. A producer could function as a brand. A Dr. Dre credit was now a commercial asset on its own. While Eminem was dominating global charts, a different movement was building in New York's underground. 50 Cent, born Curtis Jackson, had been shot 9 times in 2000. He was later dropped by Columbia Records amid industry tensions and conflict with Murder Inc. Without radio access or major distribution, 50 Cent turned to mixtapes. Working with DJs including Whoo Kid and DJ Clue, he recorded over popular instrumentals and flooded the street market with unauthorized but widely circulated CDs. His 2002 mixtape Guess Who's Back generated significant underground momentum and eventually reached Eminem. Suddenly, a massive industry bidding war erupted. But 50 chose the Shady Aftermath Alliance, and Eminem brought the project to Dre. The deal that followed was strategic. 50 Cent signed to Shady Records, Eminem's label, Aftermath, and Interscope through a joint venture structure. Each party had a role. Dre controlled the production sound, Eminem provided global exposure, and 50 Cent supplied street credibility and narrative authenticity. In February 2003, Get Rich or Die Tryin' was released. Its explosive success was driven by a single anthem, In the Club. Interestingly, Dr. Dre had originally offered that exact beat to Eminem's group, D12. They passed on it, allowing Eminem to hand the instrumental over to 50 Cent, who turned it into a generational hit. Fueled by this momentum, the album sold over 800,000 copies in its first week in the United States alone, and became one of the fastest-selling debut albums in rap history. The project eventually went multi-platinum. More importantly, it validated a new industry model. Underground mixtape dominance could be converted directly into mainstream commercial power. Mixtapes were no longer promotional side tools. They had become launch platforms for major label empires. The late 1990s exposed how real-world violence could destabilize labels and careers. The Aftermath era did not eliminate conflict. It restructured it. Beefs were monetized. The rivalry with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. unfolded primarily through diss records, media appearances, and chart competition rather than physical retaliation. Conflict became spectacle. Spectacle generated sales. At the same time, regional barriers weakened. Aftermath united Compton, Detroit, and New York under a single corporate framework. For a period in the early 2000s, the Dre, Eminem, 50 Cent axis simultaneously dominated radio, MTV rotation, retail sales, and street mixtape markets. They functioned as a closed ecosystem. Buy an Eminem album, you get Dre and 50. Buy a 50 Cent album, you get Eminem and Dre. They were an unbeatable package. Hip-hop was also expanding beyond music. In 2002, Eminem starred in 8 Mile. In 2003, Lose Yourself won the Academy Award for Best Original Song, a first for a rap artist. 50 Cent moved into film and business ventures. Years later, Dre would co-found Beats Electronics, signaling a new phase where rap artists operated as full-scale entrepreneurs. The rapper was no longer just an entertainer. He was an executive brand. While much of hip-hop was still recovering from the collapse of Death Row, Dre rebuilt power differently, through structure, partnerships, and calculated risk. With support from Interscope and strategic alliances with Eminem and 50 Cent, Aftermath became one of the defining institutions of the 2000s rap. Before this era, rap stars were cultural figures. After it, they became corporate entities. The question remains, if Tupac and Biggie had lived, would the same vacuum have existed for Eminem and 50 Cent to rise? Or did tragedy accelerate a generational shift already underway? Let us know in the comments. Was the Aftermath era the peak of hip-hop, or the beginning of its commercial transformation?